So there's this meme joke around in the horse community that if your spouse says you can't buy another horse, but you found the perfect horse, just make sure it's in the same color as all your other ones, and your spouse won't be able to tell. That is because a lot of people don't have the intimate firsthand knowledge of horses like horse people do. They don't see horses in and out every single day. And they were never a 7-year-old kid being told by a 12-year-old kid which brown horse in the field of brown horses they're supposed to tack up for your lesson. When you bring the wrong brown horse up, you learn pretty fast. So when I saw these 4 individual horses in Chauvet Cave, I went, those are individuals. And our professor went, are they? And I went, yeah, and I'll show you. So here we go. So this panel is in Chauvet Cave in Vallon-du-Pont-d'Arc, France. And this panel is situated near the front of the cave. So when you walk into the cave, which you can't do, but if you were going to, you would kind of see this front and center. These 4 horses greet you. And now these horses are not alone in this panel. There are also aurochs, which are the big oxen with the horns, and rhinoceros at the bottom of the panel. It is painted in a black and yellow pigment. The white bits of the rock have been carved away to create contrast relief, and the paintings are around 300,000 years before present. So the interpretation of this panel is that it's animals in motion. All of these animals are going somewhere. The interpretation is that these horses are reacting to the world around them, and specifically this funny little rhino by the noses of the middle 2 horses, which I have referred to in my whole project as the rambunctious rhinoceros, because he just seems to be running amok down in the bottom there. He's just going crazy. And all of these horses seem to be going, hey, buddy, what are you doing? What are you scared of? Should we be scared of this too? And I like that argument. I do. I think it's very valid. When you look at gestural analysis, the horses are overlaid on top of the aurochs and rhinos. Yeah, the horses came after the rhinos and they're reacting to what the rhinos are doing in front of them. That makes sense. What I don't like about the other side of that argument is that the popular argument is that this is 1 or 2 horses moving in reaction to this, and I don't see that being supported. So the first thing we're going to look at is motion. In motion, depicted in cave art, you'll often see lines of motion used, kind of like how cartoon artists will put those like 2 little lines up there to show that something's moving. So there's 2 ways of doing this, at least in these images. The first is to have 1 body and head and multiple legs, and that means multiple animals. The second is to have 1 outline of a body, or as much of one as you have, and then the head and the body and kind of the back line have multiple lines, and that's 1 animal moving. And those are the lines of motion. It's moving from one place to another. I don't see either of those instances in this panel. I see a possible line of motion above the second horse from the top, that dark line that curves up and over the ears, but that's for that 1 horse. And the horse at the bottom, he only has 1 leg, so that's not multiple horses. For the rest of this argument, you're going to need to know a little bit more. What are horses? There are 7 species in the Equus family. There are 3 main types. Horses, your garden variety horse. You've seen them, you may love them, you may not. Asses, we all love them. Donkeys, look at how cute. Zebras, wonderful creatures. Not really, actually, they're kind of jerks. And the final is mules. Now mules, I said there was 3 main types, and I said 4 horses. Sarah, what are you doing? A mule is a hybrid. A horse and a donkey had a baby. Mules are infertile, but they are still vital. So, when we're looking at this panel, I'm going to be referring to the horse at the top as horse A, the second horse as horse B, the third horse as horse C, and the fourth horse as horse D. Some equine vocabulary you will need to know. Tail, flowy bit out the back. Wither, the bony protrusion that connects to the neck to the body. Mane, flowy bit at the top. Muzzle, nose and mouth, where the teeth are, but the outside bit. Face, the flat bit at the front of the head. The poll, where the head and the neck connect behind the ears. And finally, the jaw. Now, this is not referring to the jaw bone. This is referring to the circular muscle structure of the jaw. Bay is a brown coat with black legs, muzzle, mane, and tail. Gray is a horse with white hair and black skin. All gray horses are born dark and lighten with age. Dun, a black, brown, or red base coat that has been diluted through genetic modification. These horses also have primitive markings. Now, I know, primitive. I'll explain. Primitive is an equine science term. It refers to a specific type of markings that are seen on horses with kind of ancient lineages. It's also kind of the oldest type of marking that you will see. It does not have any correlation to the anthropological context. So we're going to use it. Primitive markings refer to specific coat patterns, like these two horses from Lascaux Cave. They have vertical stripes on their withers, a head that's darker than their body, brown bodies with lighter bellies. However, they can come in kind of a gray, blackish color and a red color. There are also other markings that are considered primitive, such as stripes on the legs and a dorsal stripe from the mane to the tail. Those are not pictured in these images. So these ancient French horses are called the Salutre horse. They come in multiple shades of 3 colors, brown, black, and gray with spots or dapples. They are short. They're less than 5 feet tall. They're 1.35 to 1.45 tall at the shoulder, the wither. They have really big, chunky heads and stocky bodies. They have robust bones. They were a super important food source for local people, the Solutrean people, who are associated with massive amounts of technological and cultural advancements during this time period in the area. And they are the ancestors of the modern native breed, the Camargue horse, which lives in the marshlands. So these horses acted pretty much the same way that horses nowadays act. And so we can use modern equine behavior to bolster our arguments as to why we think these horses are acting this way. Horse A has inquisitive posturing. His ears are forward, his nose is outstretched, his neck is long. He's staying far away from whatever he's looking at, because if he's got to run, he's got to run. But he's interested. Horse B doesn't like what he's seeing. Her eyes are slanted, her nose is pinched, ears are flat against the head, known as a sign of a treacherous disposition. This is reactive or defensive posturing. It's not happy. Horse C is pretty neutral, to be honest with you. The ears are kind of flopped to the side, eyes small. He just kind of doesn't care. And horse D is doing something really interesting, I think at least. I personally believe that this horse is clacking. Clacking is a behavior that horses under a year of age do to horses over a year of age that basically just means, don't hurt me, I'm a baby, I'm only little. And this name refers to the sound that the milk teeth make when they hit each other. And so this kind of bolsters my argument that these horses are not only physiologically different, they are emotionally different, and they may even be at different stages in life. So, back to my original argument. I could take 4 horses and draw them and show you that they're individuals. And I did. So, I made this in the app Procreate on the iPad with the Apple Pencil using a charcoal tool. The horses here are Przewalski's horses. This is the last truly wild horse. They are quite endangered. They have been cloning them at the San Diego Zoo. So I want to describe these individual horses as I see them. So the horse on the far left has a stocky neck, a square jaw, kind of a round convex profile, and its mane flops to the side. The second horse has a long, kind of refined, dished face, very elegant, a round jaw, and a short, dark, kind of fuzzy mane. The third horse is much smaller than the others. It has a little triangular head, a disproportionate cheek-to-nose ratio, small ears, and kind of a scruffy mane. And the last horse has a square nose and a flat profile, a very pronounced U-shaped cheek or jaw, and a long mane that sticks directly upright. You can't say these aren't individuals because the photo is right there. It's so easy to differentiate them when you can see the animals in front of you, at least for me, and I hope for you. But I want to also compare these horses to the Chauvet horses. Now, I have flipped my art for this, but you can see how even then their individuality is so clear. You know the horses on the left are 4 different horses. Would it surprise you if the horses on the right were 4 different horses too? No? Okay, well, I compared them together anyways. This is horse A with horse B. The heads are the same length. The muzzles have a similar slope and width. The jaw of horse A is much wider than horse B, but the necks are similar lengths. This is horse A compared to horse C. Horse A has a wide jaw and a dished face that comes into a sloped muzzle, while horse B kind of has this like square jaw. Horse B is in green. The ears are similar in size, but the proportions of horse C are kind of funky. And this is an important visual clue because most horses are born with their adult ears. If it's likely that horse C could be younger than horse A, it would make sense for horse C to have these kind of weird proportions, but still be kind of the same size as horse A. This is horse A with horse D. Now you can see these two look so different. Horse A is refined, it has a nice dish to the head, and horse B kind of has this chunky, squished jug face, essentially. This is horse B with horse C. These are somewhat similar. The jaw is very different though. As you can see, horse C has a very square jaw and horse B has a very sloping jaw. This is horse D compared with horse B, and you can see these are completely different. A sloping face versus a square jaw, that kind of chubby jug head versus a long refined head. The neck of horse D is much wider than the neck of horse B. And this is horse C and horse D compared. And you can see they have some similarities. Horse C kind of looks like a stretched out version of horse D. Their jaws are a little bit similar, but horse D has a much bigger neck and much smaller ears. So I put all of these into a table. And as you can see, they all have similar characteristics with slight differences. They all have a small nose and a dished face. Some of them have triangular ears. Some of them have a triangular head. Some of them have a thick neck. Some of them have a thin neck. And so this just tells me that all of these horses are individuals that fit into their type. So horses, when they have a type or they have a breed, sometimes they are not genetically different enough unless they are these ancient breeds like the Camargue horse or the Arabian horse or the Przewalski's horse, where they've been around for long enough and established for long enough that you can genetically test this. But your modern day horses, you can't really genetically test what breed they are. So you have to go by how they look. And if they fit into certain characteristics of a breed, yet they're still an individual, most likely they are going to be related to that breed because horse breeds are bred for use, and different body types comes with use. The use of some features in all of the Chauvet horses, but the mixing up of other features speaks to the intentional visual representation of equine individuality. When horses live in small areas and breed within the same groups, they tend to share more characteristics than horses who can produce with multiple offspring, multiple other horses producing multiple offspring every single year. But these similarities can be explained by herd genetics in a small breeding pool, essentially. These horses lived in one of the last areas that was green during the last ice age. There's not going to be a lot of expansion of the bloodline. In conclusion, this is 4 individual animals. Each of these horses has similar physical characteristics, but also is built differently enough that they don't look exactly the same. But what is most striking is that the differences in emotional expression and these physical traits show the intentionality of making these horses look different. These human ancestors of ours were the experts in their areas. If they were seeing the small family groups of horses year after year after year, they're going to be able to identify individuals. Why wouldn't they draw them? Thanks for listening to my presentation.